Hello, agent. Woo! All right. I have an amazing surprise for you guys. I have the one, the only, Marie Boatsman with me. Woo!
Yay!
So she's going to teach us today how to get business from our social media, right? We do a lot of social media posting. And how many of you guys are going to raise your hand that'll say, I don't get any business from my social media? Well, today we're going to change that. All right. So I'm going to let Marie introduce herself. She's from Portland, Oregon. Love it. So please take the floor. It's all yours.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. Super grateful. So I've been in real estate for, 18 and a half years, almost 19. And I did my first little kind of speaking gig at Tom Ferry's Elite Retreat. And so that's kind of how this came about. So you're kind of wanting me to share with everybody a little bit about what I talked about there, correct? Yes. So
yes, sorry. I'm messing around with the screen. And so, yes, I definitely would love to get your insight, because you know what? I do a lot of social media, and, I'll be honest with you, I don't get leads from it. And so I want to know what you do.
Okay, well, we'll kind of dive into that, and I'll give away some
Before
tricks.
we start, what part of Oregon are you from?
I am outside. So my office is in Lake Oswego, Oregon. I am pretty much all referral and sphere based. And I'll talk about how I use Instagram for that. But it's very, I'm about 30 minutes kind of southwest of Portland, but I work into Portland. I'm kind of the whole Portland metro area. So
fantastic. So if any of you guys agents have clients that are moving to or from Portland, Marie's information is posted right here. Feel free to just reach out to her. So with that said, can we dive in?
Yeah, let's dive in.
All right. So I am going to share the first slide, a social media strategy for winning listings. Can you kind of give us a little bit of a background about how you got into this, how you figured it out? What were your kind of high level lessons?
Yeah. Okay. The next slide kind of will tie into this. So,
okay.
So you all remember being 7 or 8 years old, I'm sure, to some degree, right? And your parents dragging you to places like you didn't want to be, right? We'll raise our hands for that, because I'm sure we all have our stories. But I grew up on Maui. My parents owned a small business. And so for me, they were dragging me to marketing meetings, coaching sessions, and trainings. And I just wanted to be at the beach, right? Playing in the waves and the sand. But I was literally hiding under tables, trying to keep myself busy, but of course, listening and hearing, these trainers and these coaches talk about everything they were telling business owners. And then I heard these business owners constantly talking about their struggles with marketing, differentiating themselves, how to stand out from the crowd, how to get more business, right? That was the repeat of my childhood, I feel like. So little did I know, years later, I'd literally be having these exact same conversations with myself. So I jumped into real estate in 2006. I worked for a builder for a few years.
Oh, you timed it really well, huh?
So well.
Yeah.
So well. And, not only was it 2006, but, I'm from Maui. So I'm starting this business in a state that, yes, I went to college here, but no one my age was really buying homes yet. Right. So it was really great timing. But my kind of shoe in the door was working for a builder who allowed us to do a lot of we could do as much resale as we wanted. So it was here's your model home neighborhood, and you can do your resale business. So that was really absolutely amazing. It was a major blessing just to be able to really get the ins and outs of how homes are built and the building side, while also getting to dabble in resale. So that was the beginning of my career. But with that, I became very, very buyer heavy, and which is fine. But I knew that for me, and to do the best I could do in this industry long term, that I needed listings. And, fast forward kind of to 2009, I was pregnant. I was sitting in these model homes. I was getting zero walk-in traffic. Most of my business was resale at that point. And I'm like, you know what? I need to get a little more stability, a little less running around with buyers, and I need listings. And really my one struggle was I was losing over and over again. There were 2 agents in my town that were crushing it with listings, and I came in second place, more times than I want to share with all of you. But, it kind of really the hard part was, and no offense to these two agents, great humans, but they weren't doing anything special, nothing cutting edge. They were just better known in the community. They had more years of experience under their belt. And that's when I was like, you know what? I need to stand out from the crowd, right? I need to differentiate myself. Like, what can I do? And that's when I jumped into video. That little 8-year-old girl in me was like, okay, it's time to stand out. It's time to differentiate yourself. And like,
very cute little 8-year-old girl.
There's me. I don't, my little sidekick back there.
Yeah, I know. Is that your little sister?
No, it was just a little friend that I made.
Oh.
Which I still talk to her mom sometimes, which is funny. But yeah, it's, you know, the video wasn't the norm then, and realtors weren't using it the way we are now, right? So it was kind of this, you know, how can I do this? How can I do this, grow my business, stay in touch with my sphere, and do all the things? So that next slide, yeah. Seller site social media promotion is the most valuable tactic for listing agents ahead of the MLS and Zillow. And that's pretty powerful, right? Because that's basically saying that sellers believe that social media promotion is more valuable to them. So let's give that to them, right?
Why do you think that's the case, that they feel that it's more valuable?
I think just as many eyes as we can get on it. You know, I think neighbors, we have such far reach with video.
Yeah.
You know, and I was on a podcast actually yesterday, and somebody made a comment about like their videos, like, you know, some of them get 1,000 views, some get 300, and they get really hung up on the ones that get 300. And I'm like, you know what? But that's 300 eyes on a home. Like that, it's amazing to think that 10 years ago, you would have been able to get 300 eyes or 1,000 eyes on a home in a video. Like that's great, right?
Yeah.
It's really great. So I think we got to get those, like, first of all, get those like numbers out of our head. And I know it's hard not to compare, right? Because we see agents out there getting tens of thousands of views on things. And it's like, why are mine doing that? But really, you have to really sit back and think, and my coach is so great with this because he's like, hey, those are all eyeballs you're getting on that. Like, you know, that's great for your sellers. But I think that's just such a far reach between agents, between community, between buyers, you know, there's just so much we can do with it.
Yeah. And then the thing is all that leading to videos, right?
Yeah. So, you know, so I started in 2012. I really was posting mainly on YouTube and Facebook. I eventually found my home on Instagram, and that's really where I've built my business and how I've turned like likes into listings, and really, you know, how I've kind of gone from being that underdog or the second place agent that I came in so many times to beating those two agents that used to get all the business, right? Yeah. And so for me, it became the best and easiest way for me to build my brand, right? It establishes trust. It creates connection. It really like generates warm leads and shows the value you bring to your clients. And for me, my goal with getting into it was like, how can I stay in front of my sphere, and my community? So it's really become like the superpower, for lack of a better word, in my community, really.
So what do you think was the difference between Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube for agents that are thinking about getting into videos? Because I assume the audience potentially is different, but like, why has it been so much more powerful with Instagram than, let's say, Facebook or YouTube?
I know it's crazy to think that. And I don't know for me if there's necessarily a why. I mean, like I said, I did YouTube and Facebook first. I might have been a little too early for YouTube, honestly. Like with what I was doing at the time, it just wasn't getting anywhere for me necessarily. And maybe it's just my people weren't there, you know? And then with Facebook, like, it was really an early stage for me of that's where it kind of started. But for some reason, Instagram is where it really took off for me. And I think just my community, the people I'm around, that's just what they're on. So Instagram might not be right for everybody else, but it was what worked for me. You know, I think you can use this same plan to some degree, no matter what platform you're on.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
And then the idea is getting more eyeballs on you, right? I mean, that's what you had.
Totally. Yeah. And one more thing I will say just about video in general, like it's not just about marketing. I think we need to remember it's about connection, right? It allows us to kind of show up authentically and provide that value before we even walk in a door. So prior, when I'd walk in a door to a listing appointment, I mean, if it was a referral or a past client, they would of course know me. But if it was a 2-off referral of someone, then they maybe have never interacted with me. But like, now, most of the time, like they've all seen the videos. And by the time I walk in, I've kind of already like done what most agents haven't done, right? Like I've built this layer of trust or rapport that like just came from them, you know? So, but yeah, I think that next slide, it's really, you know, a big piece of turning likes into listings and getting listings off social is engaging. Like social media is called social media for a reason. I see a lot of agents just posting and ghosting, right? They post and they're gone. Well, you really need to, I think it's key to set aside like 15 minutes or whatever after you post and engage. And I'll give some tips later in this conversation about what I do when I post a video, who I'm sending them to, what I'm doing to help build engagement.
So let's share with the audience right now a video that you shared with me, and then I'll play it, and then I'll kind of ask you to give us a little bit of information about it.
Okay.
Wood Renaissance home is going to be the talk of the town. Number 1, an updated gorgeous kitchen. The sellers just redid this kitchen with sleek quartz countertops, a beautiful full height backsplash, a custom prep nook, and so many great features. Number 2, Greengate Place. You can't beat the neighborhood and location. Greengate is one of Sherwood's most desirable streets, known for its convenience, green space surround, and tight-knit community. Number 3, this light and airy feel. Step inside and feel the difference. New updates make this home bright, open, and welcoming. The arches add a touch of timelessness. Number 4, floor plan. One of Renaissance Homes' most popular floor plans with an open great room layout. With a butler pass-through to the formal dining and living rooms. The upper level boasts 4 bedrooms, a bonus, and a loft. There's no wasted space. Number 5, this private backyard retreat. Relax and enjoy this backyard oasis with an extended patio, fire pit, gazebo, and low-maintenance turf. It's perfect for year-round entertaining. See, now you know why this home lives up to the hype.
I love how you do the counting, because that's the one thing that a lot of people like, you know, what are the top 5 reasons, or what are the 10 things? So how did you come up with that idea?
You know, so backing up a little bit, when I go into a listing appointment, I'm really like this. To me, this is how you win listings. So this is kind of what I do. I'm just going to give my playlist here, what I do, and then there'll be a slide that like shows everything I pull from. But I'm really using that time to sell my value in a way, which sometimes is easier than others if they've seen a lot. But if they're kind of newer to video and haven't seen everything, like I will kind of sit there and this helps me like check a couple boxes off, because I'll explain to them like, hey, this market right now is very unpredictable. At least where I am, it is. Maybe some of you it's not. But, you know, I don't know how long it's going to take to sell your home. It could sell in 4 days. It could sell in 4 months. You know, I don't know. So I'm going to kick you out of your home, humans and pets, for, you know, 4 to 8 hours, kind of depending on the size of the home. And I'm going to come in with my videographer, and this is separate from like a listing photo shoot. And we're going to shoot enough content to create between 8 and 12 videos, so that if your home is on the market in a few months, which hopefully it isn't, but if it is, then we're going to have enough video to constantly be posting and getting eyes on your home. And I'm not just going to throw your home in the MLS, fingers crossed, hope it sells, because like gone are those days, right? So by the time I leave, they're just like, holy crap, like she's doing a lot. And like, they've never heard their friends talk about this with an agent. They've never seen this. And so that's kind of step 1. But when I'm going into a listing and, you know, at that point, once I get it signed, like I'm starting to think about, okay, who's my target buyer? Who's likely to be my buyer? What's trending right now? What kind of video can I do? And then, you know, what are the features I want to highlight? And then I have a video playlist where it's like, okay, here's 12-ish types of video, and let me create and pull from that list, right, to create video for that home. So this video you just showed, that's one of the ones I pull from, and I calls that like a 5 reason. That is my probably favorite, in the sense that it's easy, it's quick hitting. If you have a $200,000 house or a $5 million listing, you can use that video because we can all find something to say. And I will sometimes do 3 reasons if I'm really stretching. I will do 5. You don't even have to number them off, but I'm with you. Like my videographer's like, don't say the numbers. And I'm like, I love the numbers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like all the YouTube people, that's one of the playlists is usually like a countdown or something like that. So
I mean, I personally
understand where
think
you're
it
coming
keeps
from.
it. I think it keeps it more engaging. But yeah, so that is one style of video that I do. Again, quick hitting, fairly easy to shoot. You don't have to be overly prepared. Like literally location, floor plan, like you can wing it pretty easy on that one. So
okay. With that said, let me play this other video that you shared. And I actually think it's so cute because for me, I would see that as a lifestyle video.
Yeah.
But the way you did it was amazing. So let's play that one.
Okay.
Did I play the wrong one? Yes.
I was like, I don't think that's the one.
No, this is the one. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Oh, you gotta start at the beginning.
So that was just so adorable.
Oh, thank you. That was so fun. The beginning of the video, which wasn't shown here, she rides up to the house in like a pink Jeep. And it's like so cute. But okay, so that I call like storytelling video, right? And these, just full transparency, I don't do these on every home because they are super time consuming. And sometimes it's hard coordinating people or kids or whatever. But if it's a home in a community that like I want to have more listings in, and if it's 1,000% worth it, it's the right people, it's the right house, it's the right neighborhood, then I will do them. I'll tell you in a minute about one I just did yesterday. But for me, this was just the perfect home to do this on. And the best part about these videos, they're extremely shareable. The neighbors will share them, the community. And these are videos that people remember for a long time. Like that was 1.5 years ago. And I still get people that will come up to me and be like, oh my gosh, my favorite video you ever did was that. They just remember those. So if you want videos that are going to hit hard in your community, neighborhood, and town, like those are the best. If you can incorporate kids, people, and really sell and tell a story. Yesterday, I did a Easter one, and I used that same little girl, and I used my 8-year-old son, and I took them into my listing that I'm listing tomorrow, and I staged like an Easter egg hunt. So I hid the eggs around various parts of the home and yard that like to show off prime spots, right?
Oh,
and then at the end, I walk in an Easter bunny costume that I ordered on Amazon. So,
good. Yeah, I mean,
but so just having fun around that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what sets you apart. I think that's amazing. Scott actually, he asked the question, and he asks, is there a strategic choice between reels and stories for you?
Yes. So obviously stories will go bye-bye after 24 hours. So for stories, I do post a decent amount of stories every day, but for me, that's more like, what's my day like? What am I doing? What am I doing? Did I go to this meeting? Am I going to post a picture of our little podcast later? And so it's really a timeline of my day. But like any listing videos, community videos, anything I'm actually spending time on, I'm going to put into a reel and post it on my timeline. So the reels will stay on your timeline, on your grid. They are there for, ever unless you remove them, whereas a story will disappear in 24 hours. So it's something that I think will have like a short shelf life, or just like a, hey, this is what I'm up to today. It's going in a story. So hopefully that answers that question.
And then do you have a specific time or day that you post that you think is better for your audience?
I do, based on my audience. So I always tell people, go into your insights. You can actually, if you go to like the followers bar, you can scroll down. It'll show you the times of day that your followers are on. So I can look at Monday through Sunday. Here's my peak times. Here are how many people are on during that time. So I do try to play into that a little bit. Sometimes I'll notice a difference. Sometimes I don't. But I do try to look at that. And then for me, like I'm posting, my goal typically is like 5 times a week. Sometimes it's 4 times, sometimes it's 6. It kind of depends if I'm really listing heavy or sprinkling in like more community, small business, educational, funny, whatever it may be, which we'll talk a little bit more about like the sprinkling of the listing videos as we go into
with the
this
listing videos and stuff that you post, I assume, do you go and post all of or record all of it in advance at one time so you don't have to keep going back, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So that day that when I'm talking to sellers during listing appointment and just giving them that like, hey, obviously getting your home ready for this appointment is key. Like we're going to shoot, 4 to 8 hours of video during this time. Like, and then that's what I pull from. So the really cool thing is like, I have a listing tomorrow. So my videographer knows like, okay, here's the first video I want. Then next week we'll roll out another video. Then we'll sit for a bit. And then I'll be like, okay, I'm ready for a third video. Or, you know what, I'm doing a price reduction. Here's a trending song. Here's the B-roll I want, or here's the 1-line intro I want. Can you put it to this song? Which again, I have that playlist coming on another slide, but that's kind of how I do it. So I do batch everything together so that I have it all there. And like, I just posted a video yesterday that I shot in November when we were shooting a listing. That listing's 3.5 still on the market. So I'm still posting video, but that was from November. So I didn't have to go back.
Yeah. And the thing is I noticed that you had your 2, which was one was the 5 reasons. And then the second one was the story, right? You're telling a story. I do also notice that you have a third one, which is, what do you mean by B-roll is gold?
Okay, so let's talk about this before we go into the next part. So we talked about storytelling a little bit. We talked about the 5 reasons. This is B-roll. So for me, like a lot of that appointment, truthfully, is shooting B-roll, like horizontal for YouTube, vertical for everything else. I will just have my videographer. And if you don't have a videographer, you can get B-roll yourself too, because it's literally just walking around, getting shots of like whatever you want. You can be in the B-roll. You don't have to be in the B-roll. You can do drone for B-roll with you in it, without you in it. But the best part about B-roll, you can use it for anything. Like this is what helps me get, since November, we're in April, right? And I'm still having stuff from November to post. So this is what helps me get far with still being able to create video content. But you can use it for voiceovers. You can use it to trending music. You can use it with text over it, like, on the screen. And then the best part too is like, okay, if that listing goes pending quickly and I have all this B-roll, I can still use it for things down the road. Like I just posted on Sunday, a video of me in a kitchen. That was from a house last year. And I was just like, cool, I kind of like this B-roll shot. I'm going to use it for a totally unrelated thing about if I were selling my home in 2005 as a real estate agent, here's what I do, So it just gives you enough content to be able to be consistent and post. And we'll talk about being consistent because that's a key thing too.
Yeah. Well, the thing is let me ask you this, do you, for those agents who are not necessarily savvy or do not have a videographer, what would you recommend as far as a camera? Do they have to buy anything special, or can they use their cell phone?
You can use your cell phone for a lot. Let's get into the next slide because I can talk through some of those.
Okay. Sounds good.
Basically, I'm going to give my whole playlist on the video types I pull from for listings. And we can talk about in here, like what's the easier ones you can do from a phone, what you might need help with. Here we go. So, obviously you can have a videographer, you cannot have a videographer. Some of these would require a second person there. I encourage a lot of agents, like in my office, like, hey, bring a friend and go with them and you guys shoot each other, right? Like I've hosted brokers opens where I've had encourage agents to come and we all help each other film content and I'll give video ideas. And it's a great way to pull agents into your listings that are maybe really high end and kind of eye candy for agents that maybe don't have their own listings or want B-roll. But, so some of this stuff, again, going to be way easier if you are tech savvy or have a videographer, but a lot of these things you can do yourself. And I always tell people, like, start small. Like if you're not doing anything right now, don't try to go into this doing everything. Maybe pick 1 or 2 types of video that you can pull from this list and be like, okay, you know what? That's easy. I can do that by myself, or I can bring an agent in my office and they can help me and I can help them and I can edit this in Instagram or CapCut and it's easy, right? I mean, iPhones are so good these days that like you can do a lot. So we're going to just start boomerangs. Obviously that's not really necessarily a video, but I will shoot 2 at every listing I'm at. One, I'll post immediately and just normally at the front door. I have one on my story right now from yesterday where I'm like, hey, and it's like new listing, video shoot. It helps kind of start creating that like urgency around, okay, she has a new listing coming. Like if it's other agents following me or buyers in the community that are going to be like, cool, where is that? And obviously we have very strict coming soon rules. So I have to be very careful with what I'm saying or doing, but like you can still here at least do that. So I'll do a boomerang for the day I'm shooting, a boomerang for the day I'm listing. And again, that's just in Instagram. Someone just needs to really hold it for you so you can like do your door thing or set it on a tripod. I mean, you can do those yourself. Thumbnails, obviously photos, but it's important to have good thumbnails for listing video. So this is my checklist of everything I do. So
and how do you create the thumbnails? Do you generate it yourself? Do you have ChatGPT do it? How do you create those thumbnails?
I did actually just plug my very first one into ChatGPT to add verbiage for me the other day, and it changed me completely. And I was like, I didn't ask you to change me. I just asked you to add some text. So no, I'm not using ChatGPT. I'm literally just taking the picture and I'm putting it either in CapCut to add the text, or I'm even just putting it in an Instagram story. And adding the fonts, because there is a font that I love in all caps in Instagram story. And so I'll just use that and then download it out of the story. And I never posted in the story, but I created in there. I'm not super tech savvy, like by any means. So, I kind of I can edit things in CapCut and Instagram, but like anything beyond that is my videographer. So I'm not like the biggest expert on any of this except doing what I'm kind of talking about here. So we talked about B-roll already. Again, B-roll and drone footage with or without you in it. You can, like I said, you can use that for months to come, different trending songs. Coming soon post, I will always try to get some kind of a coming soon post at my listing shoot. And again, we have strict rules, so I have to be really careful about what I do, but there are ways I can still do it without giving away much, but also creating some like buzz and urgency, right?
Yeah.
One-line intros. Those for me are also like B-roll, like gold, because I can do 2 to 3 to 4, just one-line quick intros at a house and use those way down the road if the house isn't sold, just with B-roll coming in. So yesterday, I was shooting that house and I did a couple one-line intros just in case it doesn't sell right away. We'll have those to put on to B-roll.
And can you explain what one-line intro is?
Yeah, I'll literally just be like either in front of the home, at the front door, in the kitchen. I will film them in a couple different spots, but like yesterday I was like, if your dream home had a checklist, like this would check every box, or or like, floor plan, green space, location, this home has it all, or whatever it is. Or like, one of the ones I did yesterday was like, if Sherwood was defined in one home, this would be it, so it's really just like setting, like it can be anything. It's just something that highlights that home and, will kind of be catchy. The catchier your one-line intros will be. I think you actually do have one more video that would be a good time to show right now. If you can,
I can do that.
Show the beginning of it. I didn't talk in it, but it is like a B-roll clip, just with me in the very beginning of it.
I'm gonna rewind it.
Oh, I missed it. There.
That was it, right?
That was it. And then it just goes into B-roll. So that's not a talking one-line intro, but my point with that is like, if you can come up with a really good hook, whether it's you talking or you not talking with a one-line intro, that is going to get a lot of engagement. I've had 3 videos this year that are actually shockingly doing different than what Instagram normally does from like an algorithm perspective. But I have one from January 12th that is still getting maybe 500 to 1,000 views a day, which is crazy. For instance, that's not normal for Instagram that I have ever found. And then I have one from Valentine's Day that is still trending in other countries. And I think I've had like 60 people use my intro and clip on the backside of like their video. And it's just that the beginning is such a good like hook that it's, those are the ones that tend to get a lot of traction. So if you can come up with a really good one-line like hook intro, or something that's like really catchy without verbiage, like that blow dryer clip, or, the one that's taking off from Valentine's Day was me like driving up in my car and then like just coming to like a screeching halt, and I like put my sunglasses down to look at the house, you know? So like, if you can come up with any of those types of things, those seem to be doing really well right now on Instagram. So trending videos. So I'll sit down the last week of the month and kind of look at like what's to come in the following month. So like at the end of March, it was like, okay, in April, we have Easter, we have the NFL draft, we have, we have whatever it may be in that month that's kind of a big thing. Or, you know what, Sequence, the show is trending, or, whatever that's not what it's called. Severance, sorry. Severance is trending, or, if there's something trending or a holiday or something you can create video around, then I'll start kind of trying to get my wheels turning. So that's how I kind of came up with that Easter bunny, Easter egg hunt in a listing. So I knew, okay, in April sometime I need to shoot it in one of my listings. These are probably the homes I would want to do it in, but let's see what falls around that time, And so just trying to be creative with like what's trending. It doesn't have to be trending in real estate. It can be trending anywhere. But if you can figure out a way to tie in something that's trending or a concept that's trending into your listing videos, that's going to be huge. So that's one thing I always think about.
Yeah. So it's kind of like riding a wave just riding it in, so it's less work.
Yeah. Speed run videos. So those are easy. You can do these with somebody, with a videographer or whatever, but it's literally, again, you can do them a couple of different ways, but it's basically you at the door. Like I do mine where camera comes up the door, I open the door. I will typically say a one-line intro, videographer zooms right by me. And then it's a speed run through the house where it's like slow transitions, fast transitions, and that creates kind of a dynamic video, but easy on me, right? Because I'm just like one line at the door. Sometimes I'll like cut through different scenes of the speed run, and normally it's one big take. So there's no like cutting of it. So like I'll hide behind the videographer, pop out in a certain spot, and we kind of song and dance the whole house that way. But those are easy and engaging, and people love them. The 5 reasons video we talked about. Feature video is really going to be a big walking, talking, like, up to a minute and a half on Instagram of like things about the house, right? Features, floor plan, location, whatever you're going to talk about. And then of course a YouTube walkthrough. I still do try to do YouTube walkthroughs on everything. I know you're the YouTube expert, but it is hard. I'm not going to lie, finding time to do all of this plus YouTube during a listing shoot. So it takes a lot of coordinating and just trying to get through it. So if we have more time, I'll do YouTube. On some of them, I don't do YouTube, but
and like I think the key is figuring out what is right for you as the agent, that like for our audience members, it's you have to find out what is you and do what is you. Don't try to be Marie because you're not. And the thing is, but we all know video does help you get more clients. I mean, for all of us, that are in the Tom Ferry ecosystem, who are watching this, Thomas said many times, video, right? So
yeah,
video and consistency.
Speaking of video, I know, I'm just going to keep drilling this in. And here's the deal. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. It's time consuming, right? Like it takes a lot of time, and it's not always easy. And trust me, like you don't always feel like doing it. At least, I should say I don't always feel like doing it, but it's expensive too. Like if you're using somebody. So my goal truthfully is to get the very most content I can get out of every single listing, and not only use it to sell that home, but also to brand myself and get more listings, right? Because that's the goal. We want to get more listings. That's what it's all about. So, in terms of this up here. So again, back to kind of that plan, I'm shooting enough where it's going to give me enough video for each listing. I can use it for the listings. I can use it for other types of video, but it's going to be there for months if I need it. And it gives me enough where I can be consistent, because I will say, like, if you cannot just post a few videos and be like, oh, I didn't get any leads, I didn't get any business. It takes consistency, and it takes doing this a long time. Like I didn't see the results I'm seeing now for years, but it's 1,000% worth it for me. And like Scott said, like, you have to find your thing. Maybe that's not Instagram. Maybe that is Facebook. Maybe that is YouTube. Maybe that's TikTok. Whatever it is. Maybe it's not even video, but no matter what we do in this business, like you need to be consistent. Video.
So let me ask you this real quick. Sorry to interrupt, but how long does it take you to do a typical video? If let's say you're going out to a location and you're recording, like how much time does it typically how much time do you spend for shooting?
It really depends. So like I said, like yesterday, for example, that house was 3,500 square feet. My videographer got there at 10:30. I showed up at 12:30. So from 10:30 to 12:30, he shot drone, he shot B-roll. He did it vertical and horizontal because I wanted YouTube for this one too. And so then I got there at 12:30. I left at 4. So we shot 3.5 hours, but an hour of that was Easter Bunny shoot. And I had 2 little kids that were a little slower than I would have been. But, you know, that I normally would have probably gotten like 2 more videos out of a day like that. But that at least gave me 5 talking videos, a YouTube video, and then a ton of B-roll that I'll be able to use for a super long time.
Yeah.
And then, you know, as far as like community video and the other types of videos I do try to batch everything. I'm probably shooting 4 times a month. But it really depends for me how listing heavy I am. If I have 4 to 6 listings hitting in a month, like I'm not going to be doing as many like small business spotlight videos as I would do in a month where I had 3 listings, you know? So I'm kind of just trying, when I don't have a bunch of listings, I'm using my video shoots for funny videos, trending videos, business videos, community videos. And like this month I had 1 day of that. And the rest of my days are all going to be like listing shoots. But the good news is now I have enough of that other stuff banked where, I mean, I probably have like 30 videos where I have a ton of content that I can roll out over the next month or 2. So,
yeah. And is your videographer also your video editor? Because potentially you can separate that for those who are watching, because you absolutely, you know, you obviously need a videographer, especially if you're doing those following you shots, right?
yeah.
But a video editor, you could theoretically hire somebody who's like a virtual assistant, maybe save a little bit money and still get the best effect.
Totally. And I have agents in my office that do that where, again, they'll come out together, they'll shoot each other, and they'll just send the stuff to, you know, a virtual assistant or virtual editor that will edit the stuff. I mean, and I know agents now that are even, you know, they have their own thing for like Instagram, but for YouTube, they're sending their stuff out too. So it really, there's no right or wrong way to do it. I think it's just, again, figuring out what works for you, what you can stay consistent with, because I don't think it's worth starting. I just want to dive in 1,000% into this whole thing until you kind of start small and figure out what you can be consistent with. The last slide, there was one more thing that I think is really important because it's really huge. Yeah, the snowball effect. So we already talked about building a brand, establishing presence, connection, but the snowball effect, like I can 1,000% attest to this. And whether this happens in a year or 3 years or 5 years or 2 months, like it's going to probably be different for everyone based on your followers and your community. But the more you do that listing plan that I showed and those videos at listings, like the more listings you will get. If you don't have listings of your own, you can use other people's. There's a lot of agents out there that are totally cool with it. Get permission, of course. But my biggest advice there is make sure you're choosing listings that fit the avatar of the listings you want, right? The communities you want, the price points you want. Because you're going to attract what you're posting. And that goes for anything you're posting, whether it's community content, listing content. Like that's why you really have to be true and authentic to who you are, but also make sure you're posting things to attract the right clients.
Correct. That's actually a very good point. Because if you want to attract luxury market, for example, right, then or be a luxury agent, you shouldn't be posting, you know, manufactured homes, because you will attract people who are buying manufactured homes.
Yeah.
100%. I agree with that. So the next slide was about bonus. Bonus stuff.
Yes. So this is back to kind of that whole, like, you know, I'm not going to stand here and tell you that keeping up with this video plan is easy. And we talked about it's time consuming. And if it was easy, every single person would be doing it, right? But these are some hacks that I've kind of learned over the years. And like I said, like my goal, and really a couple years ago, I was like, I need to figure out how to repurpose these videos as much as I can, because I'm spending a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy on this. Like I want to get the best exposure as I can for myself, from my clients. And so this is how I kind of go above and beyond pushing them out. So repurpose, reuse, repeat. And some of these might sound silly, but like, I promise they work. So when I get a new listing, like if it's a neighborhood where I know like, okay, 10 people in that little area, like I'm going to DM to all the neighbors I know that live in there and just be like, hey, new listing. Most of the time they will share it without you even asking. which is like great. If they love the neighborhood, they're going to share it and be like, hey, anyone looking to move here, come be my neighbor, right?
Yeah.
Just great for organic reach. I will also text it to people in the area. Maybe some people aren't on Instagram. You can still literally arrow, save, send. I will send it to people that aren't on Instagram and try to get exposure that way.
Okay.
I will use them in stories to create hand raisers. So share to a story, ask a question, make a poll, whatever it may be, but like make sure you're sharing your videos in stories. I will add a QR code to any postcards I'm doing that will link directly to that video. Just to, you know, again, just get more eyeballs on it. We talked about texting people in the area. I'll use them in my newsletters. So I'm right now just sending out a once a month newsletter, which I probably shouldn't admit out loud because I know I should be doing 2, but just don't have time for it right now.
Your coach isn't watching this.
He's not. But yeah, so use your videos and newsletters. It's a great way to reach your sphere. And you got to remember your whole sphere is not on Instagram, right? So
yeah.
I was on a podcast actually yesterday with Luke from Reminder Media, the Stay Paid podcast. And he made the best point and just like laid it out there great. He was like, you know, obviously, yes, you're getting all this business on social media. We're getting all this business. A lot of agents are, but like, you're not just doing that, right? There's these back end pieces that we're all doing in a sphere and referral based business that is also helping build that. And I think these are just some little tricks that like you can use for that as well. This last one's kind of silly, but I swear it works. And like local lenders constantly complain to me that like our stuff's so boring. Like, we don't know what to post on social media. Well, I feel like now there's a lot of lenders and even escrow officers in my area that are starting to share my listing videos because it's a good way for them just to be active in their stories, right? So find a handful of lenders, escrow partners, and just be like, hey, I just posted this video. If you don't mind sharing, like share it. And you'll eventually train them to share it, honestly. And then other agents, like there's a lot of agents in my market that just want buyers. So them sharing your listing videos, it's really great for them because it's getting like, you know, all the agents that'll share and just be like, if anyone wants to see this house, like DM me today, like, but it's my video, right? So not only is my video getting more exposure and organic reach, but like that agent is also putting herself or himself out there in front of like potential buyers. So, you know, find your little tribe of lenders and escrow officers and agents, and literally that will also snowball. Like you eventually won't even have to ask for them to share.
And I like how you look at it from that perspective, because it's like there's agents, you know, I'm not picking on agents, but there are agents that are like, no, you can't market my stuff, right? You can't market my listing. But that agent, if you allow them to market it, is going to get you more exposure than you would have gotten probably by yourself if they're sharing it onto their ecosystem. And I think it just adds more juice to your Instagram. I mean, it adds more juice to everything. I just think that that's a great idea.
Thank you.
All right. So let me go to the next slide, which is this works.
It does work.
I wouldn't be having her here if it didn't.
It really does work. So I have a story to tell on this because, you know, I've had a lot of stories over the years that I could share about how this works, but this one is like really like it's powerful. And to me too, because there's days that I get stuck in my head and I'm like, this is so much work. Why am I doing this? Does this even matter? Like, you know, I mean, I think we all have those moments, right? Like, and you have to kind of reality check, but like this story is like pretty legit. So in July, I got a call from a seller and he was like, hey, I have a home to sell. Ended up being a $4 million home. And he's like, I've been watching your videos and I want you to list my home. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, really, is this real? Right? He was relocating out of state. He had been given a list of like relocation agents from his company to choose from, but he literally didn't even want to interview him. And there's a funny side story on that I'll try to remember to tell in a minute. But he chose me. So I went to that listing appointment. It was mine to lose. I literally didn't have to sell myself. I didn't have to compete. It was just like, hey, I saw your videos. I want you to list this home. And so, you know, tying back to that little 8-year-old girl, like she was super excited that like, okay, like this is really working. And that listing contract was signed. And like, for me, the idea of marketing the heck out of that home, adding it to my video portfolio, and, you know, ultimately knowing that it could lead to more high-end listings in the future. Like that's what it's all about. You know, obviously I'm going to market that home as best as I can, but like that listing will can lead to more, right? So that home closed in November for 3.75, which that was the highest listing close that I've ever had. But the icing on the cake was that was not my highest sell ever, because right after that listing went live, that seller called me and was like, hey, the buyer moving into town to take my job needs an agent and I'm referring him to you. And I was like, cool. I'm like, cool. Thinking like probably lower, sales price. He's taking his job. This guy's getting promoted out of state, but like, I don't know. So that buyer calls me and he's like, hey, I'm looking between 4 million and 8 million. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we ended up closing in August, 5 million for that buyer. And it was the largest sell of my 18-year career. So, that calls like that and wins like that obviously make all the hours and all the time and all the things you pour into your craft like worth it, right? And that's an extreme example, of course. I mean, what's funny is the day I listed the it was 3.9. Actually, we ended up closing at 3.75. But I also listed a $200,000 condo. So, for me, it's like I think a lot of people will see what I do on Instagram. They're like, oh, it's all high end. It's not. Like, I think people remember those videos more. I did a walkthrough video on a $220 condo or $220,000 condo a few weeks ago. And like, that was there and people just don't remember it. But, I do, again, I'm all referral based, right? So I'm going to do the low end, I'm going to do the high end, but these bigger sales are just so great because obviously they allow you to kind of build a brand and a face in that, community. So,
yeah. But the thing is it's mind blowing, right? I mean, a $9 million double it. I mean, like just
off of video.
9 million off of a video.
Yeah. Yeah. Insane. And that's like Oregon pricing, not even like California, right?
Yeah. I mean, even not
big deal here.
4 and 5 million down here is still very expensive.
Yeah. So I mean, that was really a big win for me. And I think that just goes to show like, and this has been years and years of work and evolving. And, again, it works. That's why I stick through it. And, again, for everybody, like, I think you have to find your thing, and whatever that thing is, like, pour your passion and energy into that. And it might not be video for everybody, and that's fine. But I think you can take some of these same tactics and ideas for whatever it, is, or whatever platform it is too.
Yeah. Okay. So I have one more slide to share real quick. So this is a little bit about you. I'm, letting you kind of blow your own horn.
I think they made me put that in there on the last one.
No. I want you
I
to
never
do
even
this.
actually, I didn't talk about this. That was just what popped up as I was telling the icing on the cake story. I think that was just like but that number is true. Like I'd never sat back and added up what I kind of made off of Instagram ever until they made me do it for this presentation in January. And it was really eye-opening. I've just kind of always said, like, it's hard to measure. It's hard to track. I don't know, but it's working, And my coach was like, I was struggling because I'm like, well, here's the deal. Like some of these people found me, friended me on Instagram, and then we stayed in contact for a year. So are they a sphere now or are they an Instagram? So you almost have to like double category some of these people. But when I literally did the math and calculated it out for like 2004, that truly was over that amount in GCI off of Instagram.
That is just insane.
It's crazy.
$1 million in 1 year of GCI off of Instagram. Crazy.
And a lot of that is, like I said, it's long-term relationships. I don't get the random, like, sometimes I will, but like, I don't get like a random follow typically and then be like, hey, let's go meet and let's do this. It's more of like, they follow me for a while, we're connected in some weird 10th degree with somebody. And then it's like, they just become a friend and they're there, but that's really my goal with Instagram for me. And everyone's going to have a different, purpose. I think what I said yesterday, even on the podcast, was I'm like, you have to sit back and I think about, okay, what are you using whatever platform for? What's the goal? Who's your audience? What do you want out of it? Right. And then tailor what you're doing towards that. For me, I don't want cold leads. Like, honestly, I want referrals. I want warm leads. I want people that are connected through someone or in the community or whatever it is. And so I've built my plan around that. And if it doesn't serve my clients, serve my purpose, like I'm not going to shoot it. And I think, it's so easy to get sucked in. And I find myself sucked in too. I'll just be scrolling on there and be like, oh, that's a cool video I did that agent did, or, oh my gosh, I need to do that. Or, oh my gosh, that's such, and then I'm like, you know what? Wait, that's not me. Like, I need to stay true to my plan, my focus. Who is it serving? Is it benefiting my clients? And I think if you can do that and be authentic, you will win. It might take a little while, but you will win.
Yeah. And I think that's such good advice, because I think so often we're always, I mean, especially agents, right? I mean, we're always chasing that next squirrel.
Yes.
And we're like, oh, we try this and then we try that. And well, we're going to try to help everybody. And that everybody becomes nobody.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just, I love how you're staying like, be who you are, figure out who your avatar is, and then focus on delivering value and content to your avatar. And the rest will fall in place. And yeah, you're going to get business from other people that doesn't fit your avatar, but it's not because you tried to go after them. I think if you try to go after everybody, you will get nobody, right? Would you agree?
I do, or you're going to get the wrong people, right? I mean, I think that's and for some agents, that's fine. But like for me and where I am, that's not what I want. Like I want to work with people I want to work with. I want to work with people that want to work with me. You know, that's where the joy is. That's where the passion is for me. And so it's really helped me attract
I want to work with
clients.
I want to work with people that are selling $4 and $5 million houses.
Again, that was really rare. I'm like looking at this year. I don't have any of those in the pipeline yet, but it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Okay. So before we sign off and everything, I want to thank you so much for all of this valuable information, your time. For those agents who are going to get this in an email from me, please, I've added Marie's information here. Follow her on Instagram, because you know what? You might be able to steal some nuggets from her. And then the thing is if you have anybody that's moving to or from Portland, now you know who to call.
Thank you.
So thank you so much again for everything. It was amazing. And you know what? I learned so much, because I produce content all the time on like, you know, stuff like this. And there's just a huge part of it that now I'm like, I could do better.
Well, and I feel the same way about you. I'm like, I need to learn from you the whole other side, that, you know, and that's the hard part, is like, I've got this nailed down and it's working, but like your stuff, like, I'm like, whew, I'm doing like none of it. Right. So,
oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really do. So, well, oh, hi, Paula. Oh, she's a friend of mine. She loves our ideas. So thanks again. And we'll definitely catch up when we see each other at the summit and the elite retreat.
Yay, I'm excited.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Of course.